Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. Clinton, Geoffrey, and Adam Ross here, as we are every Tuesday. We got a few guests coming on tonight, and we're going to have some fun. So get your questions, comments out, and we'll see what you guys want to talk about. Adam, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good, Clinton. I like the guests we have tonight. I like what they bring to the table. I think they speak for a lot of our viewers, for a lot of racers out there. So that's going to be fun. I'm still fighting irritability though, man. I have been not constantly miserable. Just things have been annoying the hell out of me lately.
You know, it really makes sense. We all looked forward to getting back to where we were. I had a good talk with Doug Leonard today on my drive, and we talked for about a half an hour. And, it was just one of those things I said, I think I'm most disappointed because I really felt in my heart of hearts above anything that we would be at least back where we left off last September, which was 100 fans in most of the pods, as we were calling them. I think most of the promoters we dealt with were prepared to go on that plan, and we thought we're COVID proof. I use that. How many times would I say it? We got a COVID proof plan for the sprint cars, and we've got money to pay for the funds. And what could stop us now? And the government stepped in and said, And now with kids being, sent back to schools, I hate to say it, but we're behind everybody in Ontario right now. We're starting tailing to be Maine in the world scope of COVID right now.
Yeah, this is true. And so Dusty DeBoer, I want to open up with this. I love there's people that are so involved with our weekly show and making comments. Dusty, anything you want to talk about WrestleMania, I'm all ears. So feel free to throw it in the comments. And Clint, not only do I want to talk wrestling with Dusty DeBoer, but I will be happy to talk with you about how racing and wrestling are much more like this than you may believe. And for good reason.
No, hey, I have admitted to you that I've come back to the wrestling deal. I stream a lot of things here in the office while I'm working. And one of the things I got down the rabbit hole about 5 months ago or so was this whole WWE history. And I watched so many different podcasts and videos. And you're right. It really is. We're basically a small traveling tour or show. You're trying to drum up business for your next event. You're trying to keep your participants involved. It's very similar in a lot of ways. And even Christine, she's like, "Why are you watching this at 3 a.m?" I'm like, "I'm learning stuff you wouldn't ever think I could learn." Right?
What it is, it's a story-driven industry. All right, so they sell the stories, but in wrestling, they're able to package them so it all culminates with whatever is the next pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
WrestleMania being the biggest of all the pay-per-views. If you look at the racing promotions that are out there, look at the racing you as a fan enjoy watching, I will argue, and I'll argue with anybody who wants to step up to the microphone or to the keyboard, that the best racing programs are the ones who do the best job of telling their story. The dirt modifieds that Glenn Donnelly built, right? He made sure all of his stars, he could tell the best story when they ran their biggest events, which is why Jumpin' Jack and AJ Slideways and Brett the Jet and Barefoot Bob, they were all going to be there when the shows were their biggest. Dirt modified racing in its heyday was the biggest thing there was in New York State, even into Ontario, into Quebec. And it was those stories. They were compelling stories. Without that, racing loses a lot of its shine.
I think you're right on. The only thing I want to say about that is you have to draw the line where the gimmick starts to be too much, and you start to drum up the good guy, bad guy a little too much. And Mikey, who's coming on the show in a little bit here, he's kind of been wearing the black hat, if you will, in years. Not afraid to step up and say what needs to be said. It doesn't give a shit whose feelings get hurt. He'll tell you that. And so I think where it hurts us, though, and a small example for us was our first MAV TV Canada live broadcast for All North Racing, and we had talked about, okay, you and Greg are going to get down there with the fans, and we're all stressed out about being live coast to coast, and they go 8 o'clock. We know we're live on the air, and we had all the crowd around us, and we said, okay, all kids on 3, 2, 1, everybody yell "la," and it just looked so fake. And we got back, and I was like, we're never fabricating anything again. It has to be authentic. So
Yeah.
that's where I'll draw the line
So
with race. So as far as promoting and drumming up your stars, yes. But when it comes to setting that line a little bit too much in what's real and what's fabricated, I think you got to really keep it authentic when it comes to races.
and that's where I'm going to refer directly to Oliver's comment. So you're saying racing is scripted? No, but the entertainment is scripted. Knowing who's going to be at that next big event, knowing who is a big story, what is a big story, who crashed last week together, who's mad at who's happy with who overcame what. Those are the sorts of things that when you bring a good announcing team or a good race promoter into the mix to help tell those stories. So it's not that it's scripted, but you have to bring in the stories that are available, Clint, and tell the stories that are available. So speaking directly to Alvers there, uh, a good race program should be very scripted, but we all get to be surprised by the outcome because the racing on the track is not predetermined.
You know, look at it one way: to be able to get 4 different teams to come, or 24 different teams, sorry, to get together and have the same outcome, there's no way you could ever script that. But you are right, Adam. The rivalries that get built, the storylines that come together, brings me back to a story when I first started announcing at Merrittville and Humberstone on Saturdays and Sundays, and I started chiming up what was happening last night at Merrittville on Sunday nights, and they came right up to the booth and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You don't talk about Merrittville Speedway. This is Humberstone Speedway." And I'm like, "Wait a minute now. The same 2 guys who drove over each other's front end and nearly got in a huge brawl on the front straightaway last night are lining up inside and outside pole here tonight. And you don't think I'm going to talk to all
Why
the
would
same fans
yeah,
that watched all the same thing that I saw last night and know the drama, and we're not going to play that up? Don't be silly. We got to talk about it. Everybody's seen it. So
yeah.
those are a couple times when it comes together like that you really got to push it. But I think I have learned a lot. So if you have any wrestling ideas, we almost got a belt. The other thing we talked about for our All North Racing broadcast is we had talked about the idea we had hashed out was a TV championship belt, a la wrestling, and it would be on the live broadcast. So, for example, if Dusty DeBoer won the mini stock feature, he would be the TV champion until the next time we were live on TV a few weeks later, and then whoever had the most points at the end of that would get to keep the belt as the season-long TV champion. But do you want to tell them why we didn't do it, Adam? Do you remember why we didn't do it?
From my recollection, the reason we didn't do it is because we weren't sure what the finished product was going to look like, and we didn't want it to seem cheesy. But I don't know if that was the main reason why you didn't do it, but that's the reason that popped out in my head. But before you finish that, Clinton, the gloves are off. Alvers, it's you and me tonight. I will go back and forth. I'll address your questions, and I can see you're in the fighting spirit. So I'm going to step up to the plate. But Clint, finish this thought.
You said the belts look cheesy and cheap, so we didn't buy them.
Yeah, that was my concern. But turns out that they were beautiful. They were excellent. Clint, are you watching the comments as these go
Yeah,
along?
we'll get to that in 1 second. Just to finish up the belt
Yep.
situation, Quick has a heck of a belt that they're using for different promotional stuff, and Frank
That
Wall
was
and the guys
great.
out there. So you may see that this summer at some of the events. The Quick Championship belt looks pretty cool. All right, let's get into it a bit. We asked for the comments here tonight. Alvars Denzis says, manipulating motion is what you're doing. I think it's our job to ramp up the fans, Adam, if we know what the storyline, and let them help burn the fire. But address that. Go for it.
I I can't manipulate much of anything. I have a wife for that, and she's been doing it for many years, and it works out well. But what I can do is try to help you. I want to help you see the story as it plays out. So I'll try to lead people into what's going on. Clinton, I find I do that a lot under yellow. Here's what we might see when this comes out. Have a look for this. Have a look for this. Yeah, we definitely play into the emotion, but I wouldn't say anyone is manipulated by it. Right? I'm just the narrator of the story. So I'm the Morgan Freeman of the movie, but I'm not the movie. Right? That's what we're there to do. So No, the racing is created. The racers create the racing. They create the action. We try to package the drama and help illustrate the story with the words and the inflection that we use. But I love this back and forth. We have a lot of guests tonight, Clinton. But I love that people get involved and people chat with us because they're passionate just like we are. But yeah, keep them coming.
I would say we can't manipulate the drama from the announcing booth. We're more the equivalent of the sign language person beside the government people when they're talking. We're just bringing the message that's being delivered here and trying to decipher it for you if you're not hearing what's going on. And I think in many ways it's we're talking that way, but I think when it comes back to it, there are some ways we do play a role. I mean, I know myself as a track reporter, accident scene. I try to give the most detailed breakdown of part issues that are broken for the teams every time I'm out there, because I think the fans like to hear it. We like to tell them what's busted. And many times, if you're watching or hearing our broadcast at a live event, you'll see as soon as we start talking about what's broken, the team starts scrambling to get those parts together. And, so that's one way we can help, but we certainly don't manipulate any part of the deal.
And there's things that we see over the course of time. Body language of a driver. Believe it or not, you can see inside these cars, under yellow, sometimes under green. You can see if they're mad, see if they're shaking a fist. You can see under yellow if they're revving their engine, pulling up right behind some. There's a lot of little things a racer does that give us an idea of what how they're projecting their feelings from inside the
Yeah.
race car. So yeah, I'll take every opportunity I can to try to share with you what I'm seeing in hopes that it'll help you enjoy what's coming up next. And
Yeah.
we're going to talk about this tonight. Announcers that do that, announcers that don't do that. I'll apologize if I screw up, but I'll never apologize for the way I call races, Clint.
That's it. And we're going a million miles a minute. We're trying to be as entertaining. That's the argument I had when I got in trouble for making a joke at somebody's name. And I mean, we're just trying to have fun. Sometimes it sticks, like Pinball Guyberson, and sometimes it didn't work. But it was still pretty good. We got away with it. Adam, where should we go from here? So I'm not sure. When did you tell Billy Zardo to stop by?
Around 8:30. Around
All right,
8:30. So let's.
we'll jump into Mikey then. We get ready to go with Mikey. So, for those of you who don't know, Mike Krechka is my brother, my little brother. He's 6 years younger than me. There's no funny business there with the family. When I started racing, they asked me, my dad was still racing. They told me I had to change my name, so I go by Clinton Geoffrey, which is my official middle name. And we get that question a lot. Same mother, same dad, no issue. But I go by Geoffrey. He goes by Krechka. So we'll bring Mikey into the show now, but. Adam, where we got talking about this deal on Mike, and I explained to you on our call today why we were bringing Mike on today. Mike and I were just shooting the bull on Saturday, and we were just talking about racing in general and the stuff that he's been through with his career. And I thought, man, this is great stuff that we got to get on the air. We got to talk a bit about it. So I don't know really where to go. First off, we'll welcome Mike to the show, but then I want to just talk a little bit about, Mike's been up and down. Well, first off, Mike, welcome to the show. Can you hear me, bud?
Okay. You can hear me well?
Yep, all good.
Yeah.
So Mike's in the home garage there. And Mike's in a unique situation because this year he's stuck on the Canadian side of the border. He's got a team ready that would be probably racing at Outlaw this weekend with the Patriots and the ESS when they get going. But, Mike has decided to build a car and race here in Ontario with the Knights of Thunder with us and Auschwitz and when we can get going. So in the meantime, let's talk a bit about it. So, Mike, how are things going with your program this year? And maybe start off where you are at now.
Things are going great. It was pretty much, yeah, let's start at like Stelter there. So I'm supposed to be driving for Mike Stelter on the ESS. We were planning to do that at the beginning of 2020. I raced a couple races at the end of 2019. And I had been like around, obviously I've raced for myself and then I stopped racing and it was just, always did it the hard way I found, you know what I mean? I was always struggling financially and just working way too hard to go racing. So, I kind of got away from it and then I got the chance to race for Burger Barn and that didn't work out as planned. And then Glenn was hurt and he had me filling for his car. And then I went there and I know it was fun racing for Glenn, but I wasn't really the first choice for the crew chief. So that kind of made for another miserable situation, to put it politely. And so I was just kind of 2019. I was just off of racing. I just didn't care. I just didn't want to race anymore. I didn't care if I ever turned another lap. And then Stelter called me and was like, "Hey man, I hear you're not doing nothing." He was just kind of getting rid of the driver he had at the time, just moving on. And I was like, "Yeah, all right, let's go do it." And then it got me all fired up. And then we were supposed to race last year and nothing happened. Then I got hurt on my Sea-Doo. And then it was just like the COVID just wasn't going away. So I was like, I can't spend another summer not racing. So I just was like, you know what? I'm going to approach instant installation. I went and seen Alex and he helped me out and got the ball rolling with the motor. And just kind of everything's been going great. Everybody I've asked for help has said yes. And I'm just accumulating parts here. And that's kind of where we're at now. So I'm looking forward to this year. I'm actually happy COVID restrictions here in Ontario finally worked out in my favor for 5 seconds. So I got an extra month or so to get ready. So that's really helping out too.
You know, Mike, I want to share my opinions about you, because how you started this interview is the reason why people like you. You basically took the question your brother asked, and okay, let's start with the Mike Stelter thing. Like, you'll just call it like you see it, and you'll say it like you want, not so much how you're supposed to, and that's a wonderful thing. I think it also lends. Yeah, go ahead.
It is. Don't get me wrong. I could be way farther along in my career, I guess you could call it. Like I started late, so I don't really have a career. It's just we're just fucking racing. Pardon my language. That's all. So it's go ahead, Adam.
That's the allure. That's the allure to Mike Krechka. We've watched you run street stock, sportsman, sprint car. We've seen you in good rides. We've seen you in great rides, possibly the best ride, and you continually walk away or change directions because it's how you feel at the time. That's what I think is the key to Mikey Krechka and why people gravitate to you, because you react to things and you stand your ground, and it's led you some years to not race at all. And I think people are excited to watch you this year, but talk about how challenging it is to wear those shoes and to walk away when the time comes to walk away, because Mike, it's not easy to do.
It's not, but you'll understand more than anybody. Mental health is number one. You know what I mean? And if I'm not feeling it, or I'm overreaching myself and causing my health, or not even health. I've never really had mental health issues at all, but I think that's why, because I don't put myself in a position where I'm like going to be letting somebody piss on me just because I got a fucking $100,000 car to drive. Like, get fucked. You know what I mean? You don't treat me like shit for no good reason. You know what I mean? I approach everything, anybody that I've ever dealt with in business or in life, you know what I mean? There's maybe like 1 or 2 people in my whole life that probably hate me or don't want to deal with me. And that's fine with me. But the other people that have dealt with me in business, and you can ask anybody that I've dealt with on a professional level, you're getting a straight deal. I'm always going to do a great job. I'm going to do exactly what I say. But if you start to tweak me the wrong way or I'm not happy, I'll just walk. I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm not going to NASCAR or World of Outlaws. I don't really need to fondle anybody's nuts to go race. And like, you know what I mean? I want to have a good time and I want to be healthy. And ultimately I want to race a lot. I feel I can be a lot better than I have been. I've only, you know what I mean? We race 10 or 15 times a year. I figure if I can string 40 races together, I'll be way better off than I am. So that's always been encouraging to come back. I know I can just jump back in and be pretty okay, but at the end of the day, man, it's mental health. You got to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, I was not a total bitch today just because I wanted my drug. You know what I mean? That stuff doesn't fly with me. Like if I had $10 million and I wasn't happy, I'd flush it. I'm pretty generous with money. I don't have a lot of money, but you know what I mean? I'll spend it on stuff if it makes me happy. Sure. You know, you got to do what's right for here first. Everything else just comes along with it. You know, you got to be able to steer your brain first before you can steer your race car. You know, I think that's a wicked important part, and that's kept me from racing a lot ultimately. But at the end of the day, when I look in the mirror before I go to bed, I can smile, and I'll never look back on my life and say, "Hey, man, I did something just because." You know what I mean? I really wanted to go racing, so I kissed somebody's ass. Like, not happening. So,
You know, Mike, let's talk about, you know, where you are in your personal life now. You know, you got your business, security business is doing pretty good. You bought a house now pretty much since you've been out there. You've got a shop you're comfortable in now. You know, do you feel like you're in the best spot you've been logistics wise? And big part of our conversation on Saturday was about the logistics of it. You know, racing always was a logistical nightmare for the little guy. And I mean, that's probably where the big team has the advantage. You know, when it comes to you, you're still towing your stuff on an open trailer and your work van against these, you know, $200,000 stacker trailers beside you on either side. Like, I know you take great gratification on being that, the little guy's champ.
Yes, I do. I like to show people that you don't need all this stuff. You know, you don't need 15 million spares. You bring your A game to the track, and if you get a flat tire, you go home because you got no spares. That's life. But with the small trailer stuff, you know, it works for me because I'm only ever racing one night here, one night there. If we were racing 2 or 3 nights a week, logistically it would be a nightmare. And to go back to what you said about logistics, there was a time when I was renting a house, but I couldn't keep my trailer there. So I could keep my car there, but I'd have to unload my trailer completely because I was storing it in the ghetto across town. And that kind of stuff just wears you down. You know what I mean? When you're just going all over the map trying to go racing. Now, like you said, I own a home. I'm not renting anymore. I got a shop. I got everything I need to go racing. So logistically, it's going to be a lot easier. You know, I can just kind of come outside come out of my shop, my pajamas, and work on whatever. There's no, you know, I can save a lot of time, and it's a lot easier to go racing. So ultimately, that makes it a lot easier. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, I'm just in a way better position. I feel like I've experienced every emotion, wins, losses, injuries, comebacks. That, you know what I mean? It was all kind of like it was a big, like going to school, you know. And now I've had that break. I felt for a while there that I couldn't compete with these big dollar teams because you look over there and you're like, man, how can I compete with those motors and that kind of stuff? And then once you're a part of those teams, yeah, the money's there and the logistics are there and you don't have to worry about tearing stuff up, but that is it. You know what I mean? If you're lucky, you get to bleed off some knowledge from somebody like Lovey's, and that goes a long way. But you know what I mean? When you're in a team that's got 10 cars and you're the senior dude there, you're you can't just walk by somebody that's struggling, one of your teammates, and not dive in there. And that's just kind of who I am. But on the other side of it, that just takes you away from your program. You know what I mean? It's a massive, like, you can't focus on what you're doing. So yeah, it's a plus to have the money, but I think you're a lot better. I know I'm a lot better off on my own, just being by myself, parking in the back, and just focusing on my own thing. Because once that track slicks off, you know what I mean, you can have all the motor in the world and it don't mean nothing. But and it goes back to steering your brain. You just don't let that stuff mess with you.
So, Mikey, what excites you about the schedule you're looking at racing this year?
To be honest, I haven't really studied it. I've just been focusing on getting the car together. And once I heard the first race was canceled, I was like, woohoo! So I got a bit more time. And to be honest, I have no idea where my first race is. Whenever we're ready to go, I'll push, or I'll beg, borrow, or steal whatever I'm missing to get out there. So you tell me. I don't know what the schedule is really. So.
Well, officially, your next race would be Saturday, May 22nd at Brighton. So, and then Monday, the following Monday, which is 2 days later at Maryville. So, doubleheader weekend to Victoria Day weekend if the government lets us go. Mike, let's talk about another thing on your thing. So, you know, I've helped you with videos and stuff, and you've bought shirts, and you've really played the game up and down. You know, let's talk a bit about some of the stuff that the young guys go through, building websites, creating videos. It can draw a lot. It also takes away from your team. You know, talk about that aspect and what you got out of doing all the stuff, because we've done at least 2 reality show series for you. You try to be fairly active on social. You know, the push to start, for anybody who's looking for something to watch, I'm still really proud of all the work we put into push to start. Just search on YouTube, push to start Mikey Krechka, and it takes you good through your 2013 season. You know, talk about that, Mike.
So that kind of, and again, that was like 10 years ago now. So we don't have we didn't have back then the tools like GeForce and the sponsorship stuff, like the output to show our supporters that they're getting their money's worth. So we decided to do stuff like this, the shows, just uploading GoPros to try and get just web traffic and get people watching it and taking notice and ultimately support our sponsors. So we went that, and it was kind of fun, and you know what I mean? And again, I had you in my back pocket and doing all the work, so it made it easy for us, and it was just kind of something fun to do. Moving forward, it's tough to do that stuff. You know what I mean? And especially in today's age, there's so many production stuff out there, and so it's hard to get noticed. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. The effort to put in is it's great. It gives people stuff to watch, but to me, I wouldn't go down that road again. It's just again, it goes to taking away or being distracted from your main goal of actually racing. So
I think it helps, Mikey. It helps you know what roads you don't want to go down. The fact that you've been down a lot of roads, do you find that you're more focused now that you've experienced those different things?
oh my God, absolutely. And especially after taking a year or two off and really getting to like just, you know, get all this shit out and kind of keep the good stuff in. So it definitely helps from everything, like even apparel. Like I wouldn't have got shirts or any gear or anything, but Greg Callan called me, our announcer. He runs Image Factor Shop, or Image Factor .shop, and he set up my mkrshop.ca. And basically, Greg's kind of printing to order, and he's making all the money, and that's just damn fine with me. I like to. It's cool to get our stuff out there, and when we get a car design, we'll get a shirt made up, and if we get any new major sponsors or win a big race or something. So that kind of stuff's good. But as far as everything else, you know what I mean, unless it's directly helping your supporters who are helping you get there, I don't, you know what I mean? To me, it's a waste of time. So it's hard to pick and choose what you need, what you don't. But with that being said, putting this car together again, I know what I need to spend on and what I don't need to spend on. Like I got my 2004 frame, my first ever sprint car. I got my first win in it, first feature win, everything. Just first upside down, first everything, first national. So I actually got that. So this car is an '04 Eagle, and you know what I mean. You don't need a brand new car, and I look forward to proving it to people. Like you know what I mean. I don't want to be arrogant or a dick about it, but you don't need a brand new car, and I'm going to show you guys that. You need tires, springs, shocks, a somewhat decent motor, and a driver, and that's it. Everything else is just parts holder, pretty much. So you know what I mean. I know what I need to spend and what I don't need to spend, and this car it's gonna have some nice stuff on it, but it's also gonna have some really shit stuff on it, and I look forward to sailing by some guys with it. So it's gonna be fun.
Right,
shaking his head. What did you expect? What did you expect?
Nothing different. You know,
Stay golden, pony boy.
How often do you get these two guys here, like kind of semi-speechless? They're just shaking their head.
I joke with my mom sometimes. I said, "Yeah, well, you got sugar and he's the spice, so you got one of each, Ma." Anyways, I'll let you go, Mike. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for being with us.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on, and I'm sure we'll have to do a mid-season update, and I'll try and get in some more trouble.
No problem. We'll see you lots on the Knights of Thunder.
All right, guys.
Mike will be with us on the Knights of Thunder tour this year, and shit, Adam, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I have mixed emotions about having my brother in the field. Of you know, when I'm not managing the facility or the tour, love it. Love being on Mike's side and going and rocking. Like to see him race, but man, when things don't go Mikey's way or things aren't the way, and not to say that he's a complainer, but like you said, he's not afraid to get in my face and tell me when we've screwed up either. You know, one of my favorite quick Mike stories at the end of the last year he raced there at Oshweekend full time a couple years ago. I think he got in with somebody. He drove him coming into the pit area before they got to the pits, right off the track, and I had to come over and Doug put him tail in the feature, and he was supposed to be in the redraw, and I pulled him over and I said, "Mike, you can't do that." And I said, "Now you got to go tail in the feature." And he took off his sunglasses. He goes, "It was worth it." Put his sunglasses back on. I was like, "All right, cool."
I could see it. Let's let's jump right into the next guest, because I think this is a fantastic segue. As I say, I see a lot of similarities between these two. I dare say that this driver is equally as popular on the asphalt as your brother is on the dirt. So Billy Zardo, come on down.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Awesome, man. Great to see you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
Billy, first off, let's take COVID right out of the mix. We're back in a fantasy season. 2021 is going to be just like it was back in 2019. Where are you going racing in 2021?
Well, our main goal is go on out to Sunset, and we're mainly going to be focusing on the limited late model program out there. My brother's got the Pro Late, so we're going to be there quite a bit, back and forth between two cars. It's going to be nice though to not have to worry about two cars in one day. You know what I mean? So dividing it up, I think it's going to go our way, and we're going to be able to focus on one car for that day.
You know, I think that's a really big deal because when I think about the racing you guys have done in the last few years, I think about super stocks, late model, well, pro late models, limited late models. None of it on really an extravagant budget either. So, how much better does it make life for you to be able to actually focus one race day at a time on one race car at a time?
Oh, it's huge because, you know, the more you got going on during the day, the more your mind is scattered. So obviously you want to pay attention to the target at hand, and as much as seat time is important, you want to go out there. You want to be the top contender in your division. You don't want to be a back runner in 3 different divisions all in the same day. You know what I mean? So you definitely want to focus on one car, get that fast, get that tuned up, and go out there and get the races won.
Would you say Sunset's the place you're most comfortable?
I'm gonna say Jacassa. Just I love that track. That's my favorite track. Sunset's our home track, but I always told Alex Nagy that if they had a home track there or a home series there, we would definitely be there for sure because I love the speed of that track. I love the technicality of it, the smoothness. That for sure is the place that I would love to race there all the time.
Which one gives
You
you the
know,
most grief?
Whoops, sorry.
Sorry, Adam. Which one gives you the most grief, track-wise?
I've had my fair share of deals at Peterborough. I love how fast it is, how tight it is, but me and Peterborough we've never gotten along. I try and go out there and race every single year, at least once or twice a year. Hopefully we'll pick up a win there one day. It always seems to happen within the last 10 laps of the race too. Something happens, whether it's a blown rear end, a blown motor, or you know, getting up on top of the wall. But chaos always seems to strike us at Peterborough.
now with the last name that you have, does that put a lot of pressure on you? How much help is Grandpa at the races or in the shop leading up to the races? But you definitely are always Azardo at an asphalt track in Ontario is always going to have a lot of eyeballs on him.
Yeah. First off, I'm definitely proud of the last name. I mean, it's a huge name to carry in racing. I'm gonna say towards the start of my career, there was a lot of pressure, just because I've been told stories of Grandpa with Hanley and Hallahan and Don Biederman and all those guys. So at first, yeah, I was trying to hold myself really, really high. But I think by now, me and my brother have made a name for ourselves. Of course, the money's different these days, so we can't do as much as we would like to do. But Grandpa's been a huge help. I mean, we couldn't do any of this without him. The cars stay at his place. Anytime we need something for the car, he's right there, delivering exactly what we need, as much as he can do for us. Everything from giving us crap to giving us help, he's there.
Billy, let's talk about take the money out of it. Where are you going racing? What's the dream?
I'd like to get myself into the NASCAR Pinty Series. I've always loved those cars. They're fast. They're a little on the heavier side, so you gotta really control your equipment and not burn everything up right away. You can get your name out there huge. I mean, there's some fantastic names out there. Look at J.R. Fitzpatrick with all he's done with that series. My cousin Pete Shepard, the Lapsevich boys. You know, there's just so many. I'd like to see my name beside Don Thompson. You know, like that's the hierarchy of Canadian motorsports right there. Other than going out to the States and racing some big super late model races, that would be really cool as well. Maybe one day we'll get out there. We just got to get the sponsorship and get the backing behind us, and we'll be on right terms.
I tend to agree with you. I like the long distance races. I like the strategy that lets the drivers play out. I want to shift gears though, big time. I want to go back over the last few months and talk about iRacing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't quit. You never gave up, and it did not come as easily to you as it did to some others. I mean, there's people there with a lot of experience that were really, really good. How hard was it for you to keep coming back week after week and not making the field, and then to finally get in on the last night and have a better run?
Yeah, you know, I was just having fun with those B features. They were chaotic sometimes. I had a great time though. I love it. I mean, it gave me something to look forward to once a week to do the iRacing and get on it for practice. And you got to stay so smooth and consistent. And I noticed as soon as you make one small mistake, that's it. The whole field's passing you, right? So I think it being on a computer plays a little bit to do with how people drive. They'll drive it in a little harder because they know they don't have to spend the next week fixing the thing. But yeah, I definitely had a blast, and I hope you guys keep doing it because the numbers shown how great of an event it was. By the end of the last race, there was still people going home in the B feature.
Yeah, my question for you, Billy, was going to be, and you kind of touched upon it there, you know, some people look at iRacing as a video game. Other drivers look at it as a great simulation and a tool to get better and stronger. So aside from what you said, you know, you realize you got to be a little more patient. Anything else you're pulling out of that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps with staying smooth. Your gas, your brake, your steering points. It helps you to look ahead and everything like that. So it definitely helps. Personally, me, I see it as more of a game for fun. Get a couple buddies over and see who can have the fastest lap time on the same setup, sort of thing. But definitely with the league, it's great competition. I mean, you get to race against guys you've always wanted to race against, guys on the track, right? So saying that, I definitely think iRacing's good. It's good for our sport, the community, especially with everything going on with COVID. It gets big names out there. It gets small names out there who might not be so competitive on the track because of budgeting or anything like that. So it's definitely a very good thing.
We look forward to, and I dislike that we call it this, but we look forward to the real thing. I look forward to the day that we can be at the racetrack together and smell the fumes and hear the sounds. But Billy, until that day comes, where can people find more information about you and your brother online on social media?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that too. I haven't been in a car since Thanksgiving, Peterborough, 2019. So I wasn't in a car all year last year. So I've been itching for a long time. Join us on Zardo Racing on Facebook and Billy Zardo Facebook as well. Also check out Lane Zardo on Facebook. He tends to post some pretty funny things a lot of times. He'll definitely keep you laughing. And as for all of our racing stuff, Zardo Racing mainly. We try and share as much as we possibly do. And that's about it.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us tonight, Billy, and we'll be watching your progress throughout the season.
Thanks a lot, guys, for having me. I hope you enjoy your night.
Nice Jukasa trophy in the background. I like how he staged that a lot.
Smart
one. A well-earned piece of hardware. But Clint, the Zardo family, and as I say, I don't want to compare him to your brother because people can make their own opinions of who they like and for what reasons. I just love the passion he has for the sport. And it comes out like he wears the name proudly and he does the name proud, and always fun to watch.
You know, great to see them pull off that victory at Jukasa a couple years ago. Let's get back. We got a couple more topics. Dean Reynolds is supposed to chime in with us in about 10 minutes time. So Dean, if you don't know, runs the Super Dirt Car Series and the Empire Super Sprint Tour. So we'll be talking to Dean hopefully here in about 10 minutes. But there's a few topics, Adam, we want to talk about. First off, let's give a shout out to Burger Barn. It is actually open. You can go into the Burger Barn and eat and pick up food there. So if you're in the Six Nations area, stop by the Burger Barn, grab some food. This is going to be our Burger Barn video of the week. I just thought this was cool, Adam. When we send videos, there wasn't a lot of things that came in this week in our group chat prep, but this was one that I caught. This is a team rolling in late. I believe it's Danny Dietrich, roll at Spencer. They're rolling in late from racing at Port Royal, and they just got to Lincoln. And so all the crews from around jump in there to thrash, get the right tires on. They set the wing angle so they can make the last heat. So that's the third heat on the track right now. And all the crews thrashing because he just pulled in the pits from one track to race a second track in a day. To me, that's the spirit of what it's all about. Other drivers coming over, you watch in a minute, they'll pull the wing and, adjust up on that, getting the right rear spacing. I just think it's super cool.
It really is. And we've had people on that have talked about this, Clint, how other teams will jump in and help you out when the time comes. And those other teams will be the first ones in to push and shove when you're pissed off at each other after a race too. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of the racing family.
It's great. I just look at the comments. I see Tanner Von Doren joining us tonight. Hopefully he's doing well. The youngster who was on the show back in the fall after a big win down in the Northeast there. Adam, let's jump over to modifieds as an afterthought. That brings us to something that got you. I know Stephen Petty was fired up about this too. A lot of the modified fans. So the way I described it to the wife was, it was the modified's big shot on the big stage at the big NASCAR race weekend on Thursday, and it didn't quite turn out. So I'll turn it over to you to tell, because you watched it live, but there was a lot of firestorm and even a lot of articles written about how the announcing was subpar at the modified event on Thursday.
So I want to frame this right, Clinton, because I announcing is something. You like someone's style, you don't like someone's style. That's fine. We've all got our opinions. Do not disrespect the sport and screw up names. And I have messed up names before, and I try to get them correct. It's one of my biggest fears. It's one of the things we try to get right. Don't pretend you're something you're not. And these broadcasters talked about what big fans they were of modified racing, yet they couldn't identify what a Nerf bar was on the sides of the car. They couldn't pronounce the name of the winner. It was infuriating to me to watch this. And you and I are different. I pay for a lot of racing. So I pay for NBC Gold Pass so I can see some of the races I want. I have a paid subscription to Flow Racing. I have a paid subscription to Dirt Vision because I want to see as much as I can. I want to take in as much as I can. Connor and I like watching races together. But I do think that gives us the right. It opens the door to say, look, put a product out that is worth my money. If I'm going to spend money on something, you better deliver a product that is worth being paid for. And some do, and some don't. And I'll tell you, if I was NBC, should I be embarrassed for them? It was just bad. Don't butcher the names of the stars of the show you are trying to present. And then don't cut away just before the driver rolls to victory lane.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are frustrating about that. When I look at it, Adam, from a name perspective, you brought up a lot of things there. First off, names. I always hated it when other announcers would just make up names because they didn't know the guy's name. If you don't know it, just say, hey, I'm not sure who's in number 16, but we're working on that information and do your best to get it. And sometimes, I'll tell you, I'm not the best at going around and talking to everybody before the races. And it's usually because I've got some technical thing or something going on, but I make no excuses about it. There's been times when I could have walked around. Typically in our neck of the woods, the races we go to, we know most of the guys. We've watched them. I mean, if I had to call another Rob Pitts or Brad Rouse or Jay Mallory race, or, for that matter, we know all these guys. But it's that one latecomer who burns in late, like we just saw Danny Dietrich do, who's an outsider who burns in last minute. The heats are already out there. And even the best guys at it, a la Stephen Petty, Fran, and the guys who I know who walk the pits and talk to every single driver before the races and ask them those questions, even they can miss it because the guy's just not there or not ready. I think that's, you got to do it justice and don't make up. It used to piss me off so bad when the old guys that were training us used to say, "Oh, Eddie, who dat? Eddie, who dat driving that car?" And I was just like, man, that's just, you can't just make up a name for the guy.
It's tough. And here's what I'll tell you. Here's where I'm okay with some announcers not being as good as some others. I watched Can-Am Speedway, Clinton. I think you did too on the weekend, the Big Block Series. Shane Andrews, I'm a huge fan of Shane Andrews. I love the way he presents a race. He does a lot of things that I don't do, but I just love listening to him. The other fella who announced the Pro Stock and Sportsman part of the show, I don't think he was as good an announcer as Shane Andrews, because not many people are. But I'm not going to run him down because that was his part of the show. He announces the way he wants to announce, and everyone has their own style. But I didn't see him disrespecting his audience or disrespecting the drivers by mispronouncing things. I just found he wasn't as fluid as Shane Andrews was, and I'm fine with that. But there's certain mistakes that you should not make. And if you're on a stream, quite often the producer should be there to help you out too, or someone in your ears trying to help you with pronunciations or giving you a clue on certain information. But in the time right now when so many races get streamed, don't put something online that's not ready to be presented online.
I read Stephen Petty's comment here. He says, "I found out the Martinsville PA announcers were on the stream for the Whalen Modified Tour race." So maybe that's just the track announcers, but still, you're doing a disservice to the live grandstand crowd if you have terrible announcers who don't know.
Well,
and I shouldn't say, let me to back that up. They could be the best announcers, but maybe unfamiliar announcers. Let's put it that way, because you can have great announcers who are unprepared. I mean, I got thrown into boxing one night, and I was Googling boxing terms 2 minutes before we went on the air, and that's just because they asked me, "Hey, can you do this job?" And I got there, and it was supposed to be interviewing drivers. It turns out I'm calling, or fighters. It turns out I'm calling the fight, but I still took the job. But was that my fault? Yeah, probably, because I should have turned the job down. But I still think, whose fault is it? I still think it comes back to a producer or somebody putting, like you said, if you put that stream on, they should have known these guys are not the best guys for the job. They're not prepared for this. It's
so
a bad deal.
I'm not going to, right. I don't want to drop it just in the laps of those announcers, because maybe they got told 2 minutes before they went on the air that they're doing that job. There's a lot of people that should have rectified. Oh, yeah.
Look at Speed 51 at Jukasa there 2 years ago. Okay, you and I we're the track announcers for the weekend at the Short Track Nationals at Jukasa, and then all of a sudden, the folks from Speed 51 are in our face saying, "Oh, put monitors in." Well, what's going on? They're like, "Oh, well, we're picking up your feed, and you're going to call to this." And we're like, "Wait a minute now! Like, nobody ever said anything about that to us. We went along with it and we made it work, but that situation's happened to us now." Mm-hmm. Had we not been prepared enough, thankfully we knew enough to get through that weekend, but it can happen.
Have I told you the story about calling the Chinese national girls hockey team in a game against Cambridge in Hamilton at the old Cops Coliseum?
I do remember going to our first lacrosse game that we got called out to go, and we'd never seen a lacrosse game. And then Kurt Stiers at the end of the night goes, "That was the best." And we're like, we still don't know what we said or what we did, but okay.
I've never sweat so much.
Hockey game?
So some friends of ours, their daughter played on the Cambridge travel team, the 14 and under, 16 and under, whatever it was. And they said they're having an exhibition game against a Chinese national team. Would I be willing to come down to Cops Coliseum and be the announcer? And then it dawned on me, I've got to introduce every one of these players. So I'm using Google Translate. I've never been so nervous in all my life. But when I called their names, they skated out onto the ice. And every time they did, I was so happy the right player skated out. And they thanked me. They were so genuine when they thanked me afterwards. And again, I'm still nervous. Anyone, if you see me at the races, ask me to show you my keychain. It looks kind of like a peanut to me, but it was some sort of a gift, a token from the Chinese team manager. Some sort of good fortune or good luck. And he had a lot of them. They were handing them out here and there. But I thought it was really cool. I put it on my keychain, and that was a neat experience. But I probably put in 2 hours practicing the Google Translate and rewriting the names the way I could read them and say them and try to get it right.
That's awesome. I know when I did the hockey stuff too, some of the Eastern European names coming across the page, like, whoa, how do you say that? Let's talk about, do you want to talk quickly, Adam, about the World of Outlaws situation there? You were talking about banners and stuff. Did you want to get into that quickly?
I think I'd sound too much. Yeah, I'll get into it. Here again, okay?
Briefly.
There's a big difference between being a ready for primetime show and throwing up a live stream where you're not prepared. I was blown away because Johnny Gibson, who was the best one-man announcer in the game, Clinton, I've met Johnny Gibson. He works alone and he does it well, and that's hard to do. I'll give him credit for that. I was shocked that they had him doing things like telling people to stay away from the fence or announcing those banners are the property of the World of Outlaws. Do not take them off the fence. We'll be taking them to the next show. It just blew my mind a little bit that the most famous dirt announcer is doing things that you really should have security people to do. It just struck me as inappropriate when I was watching the broadcast.
You know, I hear you. Sometimes we're just like, just send down security already. Let's jump into something else here, Adam. Okay. Switching gears. Daniel Suarez gets in the wreck. Show the video, Spencer. And to me, this is, he was hot, pun intended. So this is Suarez. His car's on fire. It crashed down the infield. He has time to get out of the car, pull out his water bottle, walk up to the track, which is a no-no. There's still nobody around him. Throws his water ball, I think it was at William Byron, walks back to his car, played again, Spencer, and the car is still on fire, and there's nobody there yet. And he called them out on his interview, and he said, I don't know what's going on. Like, where's the fire crew?
Very politely. Beyond that, Clinton, they've got rules. They've got procedures. The drivers are not supposed to get out of their cars anymore until there's a safety worker present. You put the window net down to show that you're all right. Obviously, when your car is on fire, there are exceptions. But you still expect if your car is on fire and you have to get out, the safety crew is probably pretty close. It became awkward. And if you watch the broadcast, he's kind of looking at the pits, pointing to his car that's on fire, like, what do I do?
You know, and my argument is, okay, we're on the Circuit of the Americas or CTMP, maybe somewhere like that, or Daytona where you got a 2-mile track. It's Martinsville. How is there not an ambulance within a spit of every car on that track? Like, it blew my mind away that they're not there, that our amateur crew, and they're just volunteers at Oshweek and they get paid a little bit, but you know, how are our response times that much better than a professional organization? That's all I'm thinking. You know,
there was a lot going on with that wreck, but as you say, you would think there would be multiple safety vehicles there to be able to do. And I mean, we nitpick on things, but that was out there, man.
A lot of things going on in my mouth there. I couldn't spit that one out. Let's jump into another quick video here. We'll talk about North Wilkesboro maybe next week if we get to it. That's one of the ones that keeps getting pushed back. Quickly, well, let's just get it out. Let's finally get it off the chart here. So Adam, this was Marcus Lemonis, Marcus Smith from the owners of Bristol and other tracks. They're now owning North Wilkesboro. Marcus Lemonis, also from Camping World, who did that great promotion all the trucks earlier. They're talking about a future for North Wilkesboro. They hinted it could possibly even become a full-time dirt track. They talked about possibly resurrecting it as another type of venue. it'd be exciting to see. And they were on Dale Jr. Download not too long ago, and they said that it is not over for North Wilkesboro. Quickly, your thoughts? I think it would be great to see them revamp this place.
Yeah, it could be. The challenge I have is anything that someone with that amount of money would do to revamp the track would take away a little bit of the North Wilkesboro-ness of the place, right? Bristol is Bristol. I mean, that you don't want to recreate that because there's already Bristol. It's got a folksy feeling to it. The conversation you and I were having today, that could be something cool to do with the North Wilkesboro. And I'm not sure if we're ready to have that conversation, but our conversation today for folks watching was, what about a facility that is not meant specifically for grandstands full of people?
Oh, yeah, we could definitely talk about that. But I would say wait till the other news that we think may breaks, and then that'll lead us to another story, which will lead us back that story, which will get us to where we want to be in that discussion. Let's talk about I'm Dean Reynolds says he's logging in, so I don't know if we're going to get him. That was 2 minutes ago. Let's run the Rolling Wheels abandoned video. This was a video that came out, Spencer. We don't necessarily need to run it all. Just throw up a bit of it till we get Dean ready to go. I'm sad to see Rolling Wheels. Someone posted this video this week.
Yeah.
The home of
I lived at the other end of Elbridge, New York when I was a kid, and on Friday nights we could sometimes hear the cars from where we were many miles away. You're hearing Johnny Gibson in the background because the fastest speed ever recorded, the fastest average lap speed ever recorded with the World of Outlaws was at Rolling Wheels Raceway.
Yeah, so we're looking at videos of the status of it now. That's how it looks today. Still savable, but they need to get on it soon if they're going to. Right now, not sure who owns it. Maybe Dean can bring us up to speed on that, and let us know.
We've got some trouble. We got some trouble with Dean's connection, Clay. We might have to hold Dean off until next week.
We'll get him on.
Which would be good.
I've been bugging him for weeks.
All right. No,
We'll get out of this, Spencer, but just sad to see Rolling Wheels that way. We'll welcome Dean to the program now. Dean Reynolds, tour director for the Super Dirt Car Series and Northeast. You got so many titles, bud. You need a Rico mullet so we can hang all your titles off the back of your head, buddy. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, about the video here. I don't know what's going on. I'm on a new computer too, but sorry about joining a little late, but it's glad to be on, guys. And we just got done with this first Super Dirt Car Series race in New York State since Super Dirt Week to hold points, and we're excited about that. And of course, now we're getting ready to go to Bristol next week.
Dean, it was a good show, and before we get into this, I want to congratulate you on a really classy tribute to Jack Johnson. I thought that was well done, having you, Shane Andrews, Billy Decker all say some words about the legend that he was. I thought you guys handled that really well.
Thanks, Adam. And actually, me and Shane put that together along with the crew from Dirt Vision down in Charlotte, in about 2 days. And we hope it went over well. We hope the family enjoyed it. We want to thank Billy and Stuart. Those guys are history buffs. And I think we picked the perfect two drivers to talk about Jack. Billy, when Billy grew up in the modifieds, Jack was his mentor, and they always parked next to each other. And Stuart, as you know, Stuart just knows everything about history. And I said to Shane, I bet you Stuart's got some great stories about when Jack came out to Ransomville for the original Summer Nationals and stuff like that, where Stuart's probably 7-8 years old at the time. And when Jack Johnson came to your track, you took notice.
For sure, Dean. What great success their weekend. Car counts through the roof. You happy with the show and how it all came together?
Yeah, I'm extremely happy with the 48 cars because that's what the border closes, guys. And that's usually 7 to 8 cars that come to Can-Am for a Super Dirt Car Series race that will come across the border. So extremely happy. Sportsman was 47, and there probably would have been 6 to 10 that came across there. And the Pro Stocks were at 21. and you figure 4 or 5 would have come across there. So had a little issue with the track, taking rubber early. Who would have thought it was going to be 76 degrees and sunny on April 10th, that close to Canada? But the track crew did a great job. We scraped off the rubber, kept the fans entertained, and we reworked that track in an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was quite a delay, but it needed to be done, I suppose. Hey, where was our replay of Lance Willicks's flip? Why didn't we get to see that again?
Actually, if you notice, we didn't get any replays. So we had a nice big screen there, but for some reason we couldn't get replays because we were looking for him up in the booth too to see. And now that we can talk about it because Lance is good, and uninjured and everything, we never saw him come across the track in the infield because the infield is fairly dark at Can-Am. And they were like, oh, there's somebody running through the infield. And we looked and it's Lance. So I guess we knew he was okay.
Yeah,
Well,
Clint, did you see that?
I saw the wreck, but I didn't notice him in the infield. No.
He was going after Kyle Coffey because he was pissed off. But interesting side note, Clint. Now, this wreck ended a lot further off the track than the one I'm thinking of. But Lance Willicks broke his neck at Can-Am in a crash in that very same spot. I can't. How many years ago was that, Dean?
That was
the
quite
Super
a bit
Dirt
ago.
League
Matter of fact, yeah, and he actually, when he got interviewed, said that what the difference in safety equipment between the seats and the Hans. He said he never felt anything. He goes, it was so soft because you're so snug in these seats. He was just waiting for the car to stop, and then he was going to get out, and he was going to show how pissed he was.
Dean, let's fast forward to Bristol. One of the biggest stages coming up ever for the Super Dirt Car Series, Big Block Modifieds. You've seen a lot of racing. You get to go last. Is that something you're pleased with, or would you like to be racing earlier?
No, actually, we came to agreement on that. With the sprint cars there, with their speeds, and our modifieds with the weight transfer and everything else, we wanted to make sure that the track was as smooth as it can be for the sprint cars. Bristol's done a great job with the surface. When they got done with that Monday afternoon deal with the trucks and the cup cars and ran 400 laps on that track, the daytime, you're going to get dust. And they solved that, as well as you see on Sunday. But we're running at night. And when they did 400 laps with cars that are 3,500 pounds and we're 2,500 pounds, I knew it's going to be a good deal. But when we plan this, we definitely want the sprint cars to go first. And actually, I think it's going to be good for us because, as you know, sprints widen out the track. So I got a feeling it's going to be the best for them, and it's going to be the best for us.
What now, is that a pre-registration race, Dean? Like what can we expect? Who's going to be there? What can people look forward to?
Well, it turned out to be an invitation. We didn't know what was going to happen until we had a meeting down at Bristol. And then the decision was to park all the haulers in the infield. A, to keep the show moving. B, to showcase a professional event. And C, quite frankly, because of safety. And now that it's showing that you don't want just everyone showing up there. Believe me, I want as many modifieds as we can. But now we know Bristol is a place where you need some experience coming in, and that is showing. So it's been an invitation. The platinum teams, of course, get invited first because even though it's an invitation, still a full point show for our platinum teams. And then basically dirt car regulars that have supported us throughout the year, throughout the years, also Hall of Famers. I went through the top 20 in Hoosier Racing weekly points. The top 5 in every dirt car track just about got invited. And that's how we went through the process. And then as guys turned down their invites, I kept on going down the list. I had over 80 cars reach out for 45 spots. We used the word pissed tonight. Well, there were some teams that were pissed at me because I had to say no, but hopefully they understood. And, we'll see what happens this year, and then we'll go on to next. And hopefully we have it next year at Bristol.
That was my question next. How many are not happy? Dean, let's switch gears a little bit. First off, best of luck to you guys in Bristol. We're all going to be watching.
Thanks,
it's exciting for all the fans too, and especially us Canadian fans who can't get there. Quickly, let's talk about that, and then Adam, if you can, I'm going to follow up with one more. Let's talk about that, Dean. The relationship with the Canadians. I know it's something that Supercar and Dirt Car really values. The Canadian wing of the operation. You've been severed off from us. How are you managing that a little bit?
Well, the Canadian tracks, the Canadian competitors, and even my Super Dirt Car Series staff with Dougie Leonard and Mark Hitchcock and Scotty Hanton and Timmy Bolts and Mary Hitchcock and Dennis Moquin. We have a big part of our staff across the border as well. And it's tough knowing that this year looks like it's going to be the same as last year for Canadians. And I don't know the reason. I know there's a disease out there. I know we have to still be safe. But, we're starting to open up things slowly down here, and numbers aren't really going up. We had a little spurt in December, and they're going back down again. And as we're opening up things. And I just hope, that it starts doing that up there. Businesses, I hope, don't suffer, because now you're talking the second year, and that's tough. We weathered the storm in the first year, and now the second year. But I've been talking to the tracks. Right now, though, with this latest lockdown, they kind of had to put the brakes on. They were like Maryville was open to open up in April, and they had to scrap April. Same thing with Brockville, and so we're just going to play it by ear, and then maybe somehow, some way, the border opens up earlier than we know, than we think, because maybe they look at the numbers down here in the States. They look at baseball having fans. They look at hockey games having fans now. They look at auto racing having fans. Maybe they can say, you know what? It's okay to do some outdoor activity. We're not saying pack the place, but you can still social distance with 50% crowds and stuff like that. So let's cross our fingers and hope maybe that happens sooner than later.
Fair enough. Adam, do you want to follow up with that? I was just going to ask about Dean about ESS sprint cars, because we got some sprint car fans watching. Where does that situation sit with you, Dean?
Well, I think we're going to be able to hold some events here in the States this year, because with the fans, 33%, and if it increases a little bit, I've talked to some of the promoters, and basically with our purse coming in, they need some fans. They just can't do it without the fans, and I totally get that. I tell promoters that. They're even thinking about running a race. I said, guys, don't do it. You're going to lose money. We only bring so much in the back gate with our crew members and our drivers and such. And without sponsorship, as you know, Clinton, you need sponsorship, because you're doing the same up there. You're holding some events up there. And as I just went dark in here, hold on. I don't know why my screen went blank. So, it's just it's tough with the sprint car purses, as you know, Clinton. So, but now with some of the tracks you're going to be allowed fans, I think we're going to see sprint car racing with ESS. Even if we get 10, 12, 15 shows in, then I could have a point fund, and we can give these guys some money at the end of the year. And I think that's what's going to happen. And then 2022, I think we'll be full bore with Canada, US, and everything else. It's tough to say that because we're just starting 2021, but it's reality.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, we hope you're right, Dean. Thank you so much for coming on. I don't want to take too much of your time tonight, because we want you back right after Bristol. I mean, I want to get you while it's still fresh, because I know that as much as you are a race administrator, as much as you are the boss, you're a race fan first, and I want to get your impressions of that. So we want to have you back on in 2 weeks.
Yeah, reach out, guys, because if the weather goes well, we're driving back Sunday, and I'll be home Monday morning, and reach out, and we'll see if we can do it right on Tuesday and get immediate thing. By the way, this is my iRacing wheel right here, in case you guys want to know. So I'm ready for the Rivalz.
Perfect.
If I had to throw some shade, Dean, I was going to say I thought it was the handle for your walker, because you're getting up there in age, but it's all right.
Give me about 4 or 5 years, and then we'll do that.
Adam, you don't know this, but I've been Dean's biggest stalker every Tuesday at dinner time for the past month. I'm like, tonight? Are you available tonight? So, Dean, thanks for jumping on. We definitely want to talk to you before Bristol, as Adam mentioned after, and we'll get back at you soon, buddy.
All right, guys. And again, it's always a pleasure to be on, and I'm glad I did about 90 getting home, and glad to get on, and we enjoy it.
Safety first.
Well, that's what 115 kilometers in Canada, so he'll be okay.
Yeah, there you
Good.
go. Thanks, Dean. Have a good one, man.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Have a good night.
Appreciate it. Well, Adam, that wraps up another good week of race chat here. I want to thank our guests, Billy Zardo, Mikey Kretschka, and Dean Rounds, who jumped on us. If you guys have anybody you want us to talk to, send us a message. Let us know. We'd be happy to reach out to them and get them on. Adam and I, we're just looking for people to talk to. We try and bring you the stories as they come and as they're timely. So that's it. Thanks, Spencer, once again for everything you do. Adam, anything you want to say before we say goodnight?
I thought our Burger Barn video of the week was going to be the guy dancing naked for Scott Bloomquist.
Yes. Okay, we can address that. We saw it. I shared it to the chat, and we learned a lesson off this stripping video. If you didn't see it, it was a drunk guy stripping in the pits to Scott Bloomquist. Spencer said it had been removed before we captured it. So I'm going to have to tell him to, hey, capture this right away when we send it in, and we learned our lesson. So we'll make sure we're better prepared. But I don't think we wanted to see that. We had enough of Mikey Kretschka's profanity going off, coming out of his mouth tonight. I don't think we need to see a naked guy, and I'm going to have a talk with my brother about the F-bomb situation. So sorry, anybody who's upset, but like he said to me, we knew what we were getting. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
We keep it raw. See you next week, guys.